Hello everyone and welcome to Devils United. This is the mid-season review for the Premier League. Hello everyone and welcome back to Devils United. With me today I've got Brad and I've got Doug. How are we both?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And how are you, Brad?
I'm good, thank you, Maisy, as well as I can be anyway. Hope you're well as well, Doug.
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. I've got a week off coming up, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. I can just chill and relax and watch some AFCON, which I'm looking forward to.
I'm jealous, or I'm very, very jealous. I just want to say hello who's already in the chat. Eagle-Eyed Football Rich, Matt from Football United TV, Niall and Vincent. Hello to you all. Thank you for tuning in. And Rich there as well. Everyone who is currently watching, please hit the like and subscribe button. I'm on the road to 500 subscribers. So we'll start off with the Premier League so far. I'll start with you, Doug. How have you felt the Premier League has been so far? Because a lot of people, they have thought that the Premier League has been so different this year.
It's been, I mean, obviously City have kind of taken control, which I think everyone probably expected them to. I think they would expect them to probably go and dominate this, but for a start, like teams are beating everybody. There's not been there's not been anyone that's really sort of stood out, really. Sorry for keeping. No, I really enjoyed that, Rich. So thank you very much as well. But there's not like people. There's a few teams beating each other. Like the top three were going to be taken over anyway. I think. There was a time where it was Chelsea, Liverpool, and City. Now, kind of Arsenal kind of creeped up into fourth place. It's been a very, very interesting season as well. Obviously hit by COVID, and we're just hoping that this year is much, much better than last year. So I'm hoping that COVID doesn't actually take effect of this Premier League. But it's been very, very good so far, and Brentford have been one of the standout of this season so far.
Same question for you, Brad. How have you felt the Premier League has been so far for you?
I think it's been a little bit refreshing. It kind of reminds me of what I used to see the younger years in the 90s. It just feels a little bit more competitive. I don't know if it's the fact that so many of the so-called big six are falling away over the last few years and they now need to be competitive a bit more. That it feels that, but you feel like you've got battles all over the place. Like Doug said, everybody's beating everybody. There's a lot of obviously things we take into consideration: injuries, illnesses, again, COVID situation. But you take everything into the way the season's played out. You've got your West Hams, you've got your Brightons, your Wolves up there in the mix for the European spots. You've got Arsenal, who everybody will be Arteta in if they make top four. But you've still got a twinge of the kind of predictable, i.e., mainly in Man City and probably Liverpool but more of an extent in first and second. But you've still got probably competition all the way down, right down to probably, I'd say 19th, because I think some people think that Norwich's little blip is now over and they're going back to losing every week, which it seems the case at the moment. But yeah, it feels a bit more refreshing because it was starting to tie, wasn't it? From a neutral, you're looking at the league positions of some going, well, that's set in stone. What about the rest of us? And then by February, the league was already pretty much decided. So it's nice to see it battling on all fronts.
I completely agree with both your views, and which I really do like about the Premier League. Every single game is so unpredictable. Like, you do look at, like, for instance, Liverpool versus Brentford. You would never have seen 6 goals to be scored in that one game. You also look at, for instance, Man United when we lost against Watford 4-1. You wouldn't even predicted that either. You wouldn't have ever predicted Leicester to beat Liverpool. You wouldn't have predicted them Crystal Palace to win against Manchester City. There was then kind of games which you would never have predicted into the Premier League at all. I can see there's a few more people in the chat as well. My Queen there, Mike and Miss Melina. Hello to you all. Thank you for tuning into the channel. So I'll stay with you, Brad. I know you're a Leicester fan. What have you felt of Leicester so far in this Premier League season so far?
I think they kind of made the same mistake that a lot of clubs seem to have actually made, which is they found it's a bit stale, that making the same approaches to the same oppositions are working, so they need to find a new way to do it. And I think Leicester, whilst we strengthened in depth in our transfer window, maybe tried to make too much of a change from only a few in-bring-ins. If you're going to change and implement a whole new style, you need to make sure you've got players capable of that. And I think up until the last couple of weeks, where we've played sparingly for obvious reasons, but things have looked a lot more positive from the Leicester's front. Even in some defeats, they've looked a lot more positive. So whilst the start wasn't great, I think the fact that he's given on this zonal marking that clearly wasn't working, and we've just seen Leicester maybe sort of tweaking back to what they're good at, and in a way kind of stick to what you're good at, sort of thing. I know it's not my club, but it was talked about on a few streams. Like Burnley, people are now crying out to tell Burnley that if they want to stay up, go back to being boring. It's sometimes with a club you find your way. Thankfully, Leicester have gone back to what was working for them last season, and I'm a bit more positive once we get the ball rolling. I know we've got a few out for the African Cup of Nations still and whatnot, but if we can get through them games fairly unscathed, I think we'll find us getting our feet a bit more and looking a bit more respectable in the table of where we want to be come the end of the season.
And same question for you, Doug. How have you thought Liverpool has been for you so far this season?
It was going well until sort of December. We've had a bit of a sticky spell. I mean, obviously, drawing 2-2 with Tottenham was very, very disappointing, and then obviously losing to Leicester, and we deservedly lost to Leicester because Leicester were by far the better side. And I know that people said that Leicester were very, very poor at defending from set pieces. We did not give them a single set piece to even, try and score at. And then obviously the Chelsea game, you lose a 2-goal lead in the space of 5 minutes. It's very, very disappointing. But up until that point, we were really the team in form. We were scoring so many goals away from home. Like, we've scored 5 against Watford. 5 against United. I know this is a United channel, but I would never have envisaged us scoring 5 at Old Trafford. 4 against Everton, 4 against Arsenal, 4 against Southampton. Like, we're one of the top scoring sides in the league. It's just at the back we are conceding way too many goals as well. But I think the main aspect for us is probably, either getting second place, and then, we've done well in the Champions League. It's safe to say, with 6 wins out of 6, bit of a big tie against Inter Milan coming up as well. We're in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Unfortunately, it's, the tie's postponed tomorrow, and we've got Arsenal next Thursday at Anfield now, and then the second leg's at the Emirates. FA Cup. How will we do in that? Who knows? But it's been a bit of a mixed season. Disappointed to be so far off the pace at this moment in time. Barring a monumental collapse, it's Man City's titles to lose.
Manchester United so far in the Premier League. Should I talk about that so we can have a little bit of a laugh? Should we just say? You know what? Really, the thing is, what was so disappointing, like, obviously, it was already disrupted knowing that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got the sack, and then we brought in Ragnick, and Ragnick's already got turned against after 37 days of being the manager. You're hearing that the players are not liking Ragnick's style of play, they're not liking his training, they don't like training in the dark and stuff like that. You look and you think you're absolutely pathetic. You are on what? You've got some of these players who are on 50k or 250k or more, but don't want to train in the dark. If I had 250k a week, I'd do anything for 250k a week. I'd be happy to train after 5 p.m. if that was the case. There were a couple of games at the beginning, Newcastle, Leeds, I was extremely impressed with, but then it just all seemed to go away. Then obviously Leicester, we lost against Liverpool, lost against Manchester City, we lost against Watford, we drew against Newcastle. I feel like I'm depressing myself here thinking of it all. I just want to say as well, hello to Ankit and hello to Kasim, who are both in the chat. Thank you both for tuning into the channel. So I'm going to start with the topics that I had in mind. Rich from Eagle Eye Football was meant to be on the channel, but he wasn't able to come due to work commitments. So he is going to start off the topic for me, and he will be discussing what his standout team is so far in the Premier League.
Good evening all, it's Rich here from Eagle Eye Football. First and foremost, I want to just send my apologies to Maisy at Sheffield United for not being able to make the show tonight. So got caught up in a work meeting. Teacher life doesn't stop in the classroom. It keeps on going. Having these meetings at home and that. But anyway, you're not here to hear me whinge about it. Maisy asked me to give my input for this Premier League review, and there's 3 areas he wanted me to discuss. So first up, standout team. You know what? There's been a few stand-up performances, but it's kind of like each one of these teams have like done well in patches and then kind of maybe fell off and so on and so forth. Obviously, you can't look beyond Manchester City. It seems like when they lose a game, they kind of go on like a crazy run of wins and stuff. I believe their last defeat was to us at the Etihad. So since then they've just been rampant, you know. Another shout out to Brentford actually. They, as much as obviously they're sitting 12th at the minute, first year in the league, and you know what? They've got an identity. Thomas Frank's got them playing some excellent football, and they're doing well. They're doing well with their first season there. But I'm actually going to give my standout team. I'm going to give it to West Ham. It's not because they beat us the other day. It's because I've really got to give credit to David Moyes. Like with Everton, he was kind of like a counter-attacking sort of gaffer and such. And then he had old times where he might lump it long to like the likes of Fellaini and whatnot. He obviously went to Manchester United. It didn't work out. Then he went abroad to try and learn a bit more, which I kind of rate him for. He didn't have to. Excuse me. And yeah, so then he came back, had an initial stint with West Ham. They decided not to take him back on, and then he's come back, and the way he's got them playing is phenomenal, to be fair. And look, they're 1 point off 4th place. You know what I mean? It's mad that they actually genuinely can get Champions League football. It's going to be difficult because obviously for them, there's the aspect of they're in the Europa League as well. So could they juggle the two? We can only wait and see, really. So standout team for me, West Ham United.
So that was Rich's views on his standout team in the Premier League so far. I'll come to you, Doug, of what you think your standout team is so far.
I have to agree with Rich. I think West Ham have been excellent this season, and you look at the scalps that they've actually had. Us, They beat us 3-2. They beat Chelsea 3-2. I think they beat Man City in the League Cup on penalties as well. They've been to Old Trafford, beat you guys 1-0 as well. David Moyes deserves a lot of credit. Leicester 4-1 as well. So David Moyes deserves a lot of credit. He has done a fantastic job as well. I like the shout at Brentford. I think Brentford have been an absolute breath of fresh air in the Premier League so far as well. But yeah, I would have to agree with West Ham. I'd have to agree with West Ham.
And Niall had a question for you as well, Doug. What's your thoughts on the whole excuses about the Arsenal and Liverpool fans all blaming each other for the game being postponed due to COVID?
It's like everyone else is getting games postponed left, right, and centre. Like Leicester have had a couple of games postponed. United have had a couple of games postponed. But when it comes to Liverpool, like all hell breaks loose. It's just one of those. Look, unfortunately, it's just one of those rare occasions that Klopp gets COVID, and then we travel to Chelsea. Pep Linders gets it now, so there has to be it's all fair and well saying that the game should go ahead, but for me, I think the AFL have done the right thing. I think they've done the right thing in granting the postponement in the first place, and also telling the fans, just giving them time to not obviously travel, because Arsenal fans probably live all around London, and Liverpool fans will be traveling all the way to London. So I'm happy that they came to a decision as well. Yes, it's disappointing, and a Carabao Cup semi-final is at stake as well, but it has given us the home advantage is gone, and now we have to rely on beating them at Anfield next week and then going to the Emirates. It's disappointing that both fans are going at each other as well, but these things happen.
And Brad, what do you think your standout team is so far?
There's a fair few to choose from. I mean, you wouldn't have probably had any of them at the start of the season that you would have hand on heart said are going to have a turnaround season. I mean, Rich mentioned a few of them: Brentford, West Ham, and maybe because he's a fan of them, and he didn't want to be too out there with his own team. But Palace has been really well in consideration. I think every one of us here, and probably them in the comments, for Patrick Vieira. We all know where this is happening. This is going to go to the pan like the rest of them did. And look what he's doing. He's doing a great job at Palace. He's probably making Palace fans more excited than they ever were under Roy Hodgson. And he was the most steady manager they've had for years. I think in terms of expectancy, Brentford are having a great season, but it's probably not too surprising. I think out of the three teams that came up, you normally find the one that's got the most energy and can sustain that we're not beaten attitude for as long as possible before you have that big dip in form. They were probably the ones you'd expect to do it more, and have shown true with the incredible results they've got. So for me, probably a lot of people thought West Ham were going to go down this season or be in a relegation scrap. It was a little blip. It was a little miracle on the radar of West Ham. They woke up for a season. West Ham normally then go back down to finishing in the lower end, but I think it's great to see them be up there with them teams. I want to also give a shout out to Wolves. I thought of them really well, the pressure under him after losing Nuno in the circumstances they did. But I'm going to stick with Brentford as who were my genuine standout team. I think there's ways you can impress and kind of go, yeah, see, we can all sit here and go, oh yeah, well, we knew they'd stay up if they finished 17th by 2 points in the final game. The fact that we're looking at a Brentford side that have finally made it to the Premiership and are sitting comfortably in terms of how they've got their points and how others are struggling to do it. I think you've got to give a lot of credit to that, because a lot of people weighed doubt towards Sheffield United with their crowd ability losing it last season. Their stadium's so compact and they really do feed off it. You see it in their home performances. I mean, they picked up points against Liverpool. They were right in it with Man City until that Laporte goal. They beat Arsenal in the opening game of the season. So, yeah, they really know how to draw from that home crowd. And as long as that's positive, I don't see it changing Brentford's fortune. So they're my standout team.
I know, and also a wee shout out to 442s magazine. You don't know what you're talking about. They had Patrick Vieira to be the first manager to be sacked and Crystal Palace to finish 20th.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even over
Can we
Norwich,
just
that
shout
is
out to
absolutely
Newcastle?
crazy.
Yeah. Can we go for bad standout of the season? And can we all just agree to put Newcastle in that? Because they stand out in a glorious other way at the moment until they go and play
You
it
could
all in
call them
January.
disappointed, which could be the topic very soon.
Oh, sorry.
For me, you never know. You never know. But for me, in
No
terms
spoiler.
of standout teams, there's so many, isn't there, in terms of standout teams? Because there's so many teams for me where you expect them to do so much worse than what they should have been. Me, for one, I definitely held my hands up in terms of Patrick Vieira. I actually thought, what's Patrick Vieira doing there at Crystal Palace? He's got such a big job on his hands. He's going to need to rebuild this team if he wants to get any kind of success out of them. What he's done, he's turned a defensive Crystal Palace into such an attacking kind of Crystal Palace, which I've not seen from Crystal Palace in such a long time. He's brought the best out of youth players such as Conor Gallagher. He's having such an immense season. And if I was Conor Gallagher, knowing that the fact he has also got England place, I would stay at Crystal Palace. I would be asking Tuchel, you either put me there in a starting 11 spot at Chelsea, which we know will not happen, or I want a move here to Crystal Palace because I'm actually doing a good job here. I've done this. If I'm not getting this secured at Chelsea, then no, I want to go. For them, there was my full standout team. But I've got to agree with Brad in terms of Wolves, because for me, a lot of people was also thinking the same about Bruno Lage, thinking he's definitely going to get sacked as well. To be honest, I didn't really know too much about Bruno Lage before he even came to Wolves. So I didn't really know his style of play, didn't know what he was going to do. And I think knowing how well Nuno was at Wolves, knowing that he was so loved by the fans as well, it was going to be such a big responsibility to take on and to make Wolves to be a good team to get them into European football eventually one day, which Nuno has done quite a few years ago. And you know what? I actually think defensively they're so well. You look at the game in particular against us, they were so structured. They were brilliant. And when you look at Chelsea, they were so structured against Chelsea as well. And I do believe if they didn't have that disallowed goal, they would have won the game against Chelsea as well as us. They've not got the goal scorers. They haven't got the attacking-minded players, but they can go out for that if that's going to be this window or the summer window. And if they do that, and then Bruno Lage makes them into them brilliant kind of players, which we have seen in particular of Max Kilman. He's a standout player at Wolves for me. If he makes someone like Kilman one of the best for me defenders in the league right now, and he makes an attacking player so good, like a mini Jimenez, as you would call it, his prime. I think there'd be no reason why Wolves couldn't eventually get into European football neither.
Can I give a wee shout out to Jose Sa, because I think he has been outstanding for a goalkeeper to come in when Ray Patricio laid down that number one spot for a long time. I just feel that Jose Sa has gone up another level with Wolves, and I read somewhere that he's actually the top keeper for, I think, saves and like catches per 90, I think. So I think Jose Sa deserves a lot of credit from me, and he is a top goalkeeper.
I completely agree with that, because like you say, just like Patricio, he had a big massive step to get onto, because all the fans even love Patricio, and knowing that he was the number one for so long, and only a couple of years ago, Patricio would have been known as one of the best goalkeepers in the league. He was one of them where everyone had him in the fantasy football. I hold my hands up, when I first got fantasy football, he was in my league.
Me too.
He was in my league. He was getting me so many points because Wolves were so good defensively. So it was absolutely a brilliant buy. And if this carries on how he is, Jose Sa could potentially be a standout transfer this season for the Premier League so far, because for me, he's been outstanding. And if he carries on the way he is, he would be definitely got the potential to have that spot for the best transfer in the Premier League. Back time with Vaughn. Hello to you two as well. Thank you for tuning into the channel. I'll go next now on to the next topic, which you did have, which was the teams for you, which has been the underdogs so far. I'll start with you, Doug, with who you think's been the underdogs in the league.
I mean, it's probably. I mean, again, you'd probably say Brentford. I don't think many people would have expected Brentford to have done as well as many people would think. But I think Brentford. I have to give a shout out to Brighton. I don't think anyone is expected where Brighton are finishing at the moment this season. Brighton are a side who we all thought were very, very good defensively. They've got a very good back line. It's just they need an out-and-out goal scorer, and I think if they actually had an out-and-out goal scorer, they would be higher than they actually were. I think Graham Potter's done a fantastic job, so I'm going to say Brighton.
And what about you, Brad? Who do you think has been underdog so far?
I've got to admit, anyone that's heard me talk about Brighton, for the wheels are going to fall off. And sometimes we can't always be experts at pundits when it comes to making predictions about teams. And whether I like it or not, Graham Potter's proven me wrong a little bit with Brighton because the one thing I would say that's probably the biggest difference between them and, say, a West Ham at the moment is while West Ham are still up there and still doing well, they're slipping with their results a little bit. They're dropping more points, where Brighton are just finding that annoying habit to keep nicking 96-minute goals. And you feel they've got to invest to keep it up. They can't keep going by on nicking a game here or there. Again, challenge accepted by Graham Potter. He's probably going to prove me wrong now and make sure they go on a run of 96-minute goals. But yeah, I have to agree. If you're talking in terms of underdog, I think they're the ones that have really stood out like a sore thumb. Like Brentford are probably a bit higher than most people expect. West Ham, you can expect that quality on that should get you higher league position in football. But it was David Moyes, whereas Brighton are that club that are just staying around and doing a good job of it to rub up the top six. So yeah, I agree with you, Brighton.
Thank you, Alex, for tuning into the channel. I've not seen you in the channel before, so thank you so much for tuning in. Vincent also did mention for me that Wolves player Neves is linked to Manchester United. And just as Niall has said that he's linked to Manchester United as well. For me, with Ruben Neves, he's such a good midfielder. He well and truly controlled Manchester United. But it's not about would I take Ruben Neves, it's about does Ruben Neves want to come to Manchester United? And my answer to that is I don't believe he does want to come to Manchester United, because when we won against Wolves earlier on in the season, he was a bit bitter towards us winning the game. I can't remember what the score was, but it was quite a marginal game, but he was quite bitter for me, and I just feel like for that reason he doesn't particularly want to be at the club. I wouldn't particularly take him because he's more that box-to-box midfielder, more of a central midfielder than he is a CDM, and we need a CDM before we do need to look at getting a central midfielder, because we've got central midfielders. We've got McTominay, who's a box-to-box. We've got Fred, a box-to-box. Yeah. We've got Bruno. We've got Popper when he's fit. We've got Donny van de Beek. We don't need another central midfielder. We need a CDM. If that's going to be Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, Kessie, whoever it is, there's hardly no CDMs even linked to us right now. So based on, I think he doesn't want to come to the club, and knowing that, I don't think he's a proper CDM for me. I personally wouldn't take Ruben Neves. And hello to you as well, Tom. Thank you for tuning in. So for my, it was, what was it now? Yeah, for my underdog team, I'm going to actually go for Arsenal in terms of underdog teams. And the reason why I do believe Arsenal has been quite the underdogs, last season, everyone was like, yeah, let's all laugh at Arsenal. They've out of European football, which is the first time in so many years. They've got Arteta as a manager. They're not doing anything in this Premier League. They're literally having a bit of a run, and then they get all disappointed again. And knowing that the first so many games they actually lost, they lost Brentford, they lost against Manchester City. They was actually in the relegation zone at the very beginning of the season, Arsenal, and they managed to go on an unbeaten run all the way up to the Liverpool game, where Liverpool, was it 4-0 that you won by, if I'm correct?
Yeah, 4-0. Yeah, 4-0.
Yes. won 4-0, and they're still managing to play top performances. Like Manchester City, for instance, they played a very, very good first half against Manchester City. They even surprisingly played well against us. And if it wasn't for that penalty, we would have drew. And people do say that Odegaard should have also had a penalty against us as well. And they had, when you look at the transfer window, what they did have, they spent the most. But their transfers are the transfers what have been the most influential as well. Look at Tomiyasu; he's been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
For me, he has been a very, very good player. Odegaard, he came on loan. He's come back as a permanent player. And for me, the way he plays, he's an actual potential future Arsenal captain for me. And people, what I'm saying in the comments, Aaron Ramsdale. People laughed at Aaron Ramsdale, and look at him now, first choice goalkeeper for Arsenal. So you can't knock Arsenal for what they have been. So for me, that's why I do say that they're underdogs. And it really wouldn't surprise me if they do get into European football this season, because they've been absolutely brilliant to me, in my opinion. Hello to you too, Garrett. Thank you for tuning into the channel. I'm going to go on to Rich now, because he has said his underdog team of the season so far.
The next category, underdog. Who's been an underdog? You know what? And I already mentioned them in the standout team. I'm going to say Brentford. I know, obviously, I don't think anyone kind of took them to get relegated, because I think everyone kind of understood their style of play. But I don't think anyone expected them to do as well as they have done. And they've kind of made their home ground a fortress. High intensity football they're playing, massive press. I mean, I think results kind of tailed off a bit, and that's kind of coincides with the fact that obviously Tony got injured, I believe, for a bit, and I think he's also had C19. So obviously things haven't always gone in their favour, but they, like I said, first season in the Prem, it's excellent. They've been brilliant, and I think they've also conceded some late goals. We should know about that and stuff. So they would look at the table and think they could easily be higher. They could definitely easily be higher and such. So as an underdog, I'm going to give it to Brentford, but they've been superb.
So that is also Rich's opinion on who he believes was the underdog so far in the Premier League. So the next topic is going to be the most disappointing team so far in the league. Before I do continue, hello to iMaxi Football. Thank you for tuning into the channel. So I'll start with you, Brad, of who you feel has been disappointing so far.
Disappointing obviously is a bit objective and depending on what you were expecting from them as a team. I think the most obvious disappointment in terms of just probably with all the news they experience about Mike Ashley going, Newcastle fans are probably expecting to be sitting around about mid-table, just waiting to be able to spend the money. And I know that's still the case, but they're sat in 19th. You can't get much disappointing than that after you lose the most torturous thing at your club in 14 years. But probably if we're looking at Brentford as like the surprise package, the underdog and Brighton's like that, I think you then maybe have to look at recent turnabouts. I know they've just won 2-0 tonight, but lads, it's Spurs. Chelsea have probably been a bit of a disappointment. I don't think there's many people that thought they'd be talking in January about Chelsea's title run already being run. I don't think there's many people would have thought that. I thought there was dark horses. They were like your Belgium with the Euros, weren't they? Everybody always seems to pick them or back them, but they never quite get over the line. And I feel like that's the sort of case of Chelsea. So in terms of delightful disappointment, because it's just fun to watch the richest club in the world still struggle near the foot of the table, I in terms of probably expectation, I think Chelsea are the ones that are the most disappointing.
And I know Vincent also asked the question about Newcastle. What do you think about Newcastle signing Kieran Trippier for 12 million?
That's an absolute steal.
Yeah,
absolute steal. I think that's a great signing, and probably more to come. I think they needed a right back that can actually defend and attack And I think Kieran Trippier has got all the answers. I think that's a great signing for them. And for 12 million as well.
Yeah, it's an absolute steal considering the guy is an England international. And I know people say, "Oh, it's an England international." Yeah, we know that includes a price tag on it, doesn't it? It doesn't matter where they're playing. If they're English and they've played internationally, the price goes up in more. It's an odd price to have for someone who's just come off the back of winning La Liga. You know what I mean? It's a staggering cheap price to pay. And literally the only reason I can see that Newcastle have even bothered with the transfer, it almost makes you question what's he been doing over there, because he's surely been playing well, been playing most weeks to my knowledge. So why is he only available for 12 million? That's just a staggering price for the quality of player that they get.
I think from what I can recall, I think his contract is actually running up in the summer, if I'm not mistaken. But considering in the summer, we was actually price tagged 40 million for Kieran Trippier. Probably more Man United tax, more that we went to the Euros, finished second place tax as well. We've won La Liga tax. We're in the Champions League tax. Put all these taxes together to put 40 million. And then Atletico Madrid, I've just checked, and they are in 4th place in La Liga so far as well. So they're not even doing too bad so far. They're only 14 points off 1st place as well, which is Real Madrid. So they could even have potential to win the league again. But maybe knowing the 14 points clear with Real Madrid, we just don't know. But whilst I still got you, Brad, Anthony has got a question. Hello to you, Anthony, as well. What can you see Ndidi leaving?
No, I can't. For lots of reasons. He's never ever get the impression that he's ever been a player that wants to leave. The fans seem to give the stir of a move to Ndidi to Liverpool or Manchester United. Many a times I've had to plead with people to stop saying they want Ndidi in the transfer talk when it comes to United shows. But in terms of actual hard press, it's a story that kind of maybe comes up one day and that's it, but you don't really hear of it. I just don't see him going. I don't honestly, with everything that's going on at the club, I don't think we've got the affordability to let him go, especially in January with the state of our squad. So no, I don't think Ndidi's going anywhere. Niall.
And thank you as well, Andrew, for tuning into the channel. What about you then, Doug? Who do you think has been disappointing so far in the league? I know you're going to break my heart here and you're going to say United because I could tell by your face that you wanted to.
I have
just
to
make
say,
your face like, oh no.
I've got 3, right? So Norwich were number 1, Man United were number 2, and Leeds United were number 3. Now Norwich, they never learn their lesson. It's just they always spend very, very little. Like you look at the signings they made. Rashika didn't make sense. Josh Sargent has been absolute pants this season. They just give you a chance to just like banter more and more and more. Like honestly, Norwich getting rid of Daniel Farke after a win is just embarrassing in itself. Yes, Dean Smith has come in, and Norwich have looked okay, but they're gone. I'm sorry that if anybody doesn't think that they are going down, then you should probably just stop predicting. They're just a yo-yo club. They're always going to go up and down. I have to talk about Manchester United. I mean, everyone said at the start of the season, Sancho, Varane, Ronaldo. 5-1 against Leeds to start the season off was a very, very good start. And then, it just capitulated after that. Obviously 5-0 to us, 2-0 to City. I mean, those 2 games were like training games. Manchester United never even laid a glove on either of those. Losing 4-1 to Watford. It's just been a season of absolute disappointment. And Roy Keane was right. He said back in, I think, 2018 that the same players would throw Ollie under the bus, and look what's happened. But it's not been about that. It's been, has Ronaldo coming back actually improved Manchester United or been detrimental to them? I think he's been detrimental to them. You look at Bruno Fernandes. Last season, he was your main man. This season, apart from obviously the hat-trick against Leeds United, and he looked very, very good then. Since then, disappointing, very, very disappointing. And how many people have actually got him in their fantasy teams? I wouldn't think many of them. I don't think many people will have Bruno Fernandes. So, just been a disappointment season from start to finish. Leeds have been utter dross, absolute awful, awful, awful. Like everyone said, second season syndrome was going to hit them. Maybe not. You'd have to say, but Leeds have just been terrible. 3-0 against Liverpool, 5-1 against Manchester United, 7-0 against Manchester City. It's just been a terrible, terrible season for them. Big win against Burnley, I'll have to say. Big win against Burnley. But apart from that, they have been very, very disappointing. But yeah, my three, Norwich, United and Leeds.
Before I say my team, what I think has been disappointing, I've actually got three, just like Doug as well. There's two questions for you here, Brad, in the chat. One from Niall. Brad, got one for you as well. What about Tielemans? Can you see him being linked in January or the summer?
No, stop bringing this up because I get emotional. Because the idea of Tielemans playing in any other shirt is going to be a day that I mourn for the rest of my life. So please stop bringing Tielemans up as well, okay? First of all, if he's going to go, he's going to go in the summer. He's a very committed lad. I mean, maybe you think sometimes you look at a player like maybe a Ronaldo through United fans' eyes, or I don't know, a player for Liverpool. I can't think of one. That's not being disrespectful. I had one in the left of my head. I was going to say someone very popular at Liverpool, Gerrard at Liverpool. That was it. Yeah. That was the guy I was thinking that was embarrassing. But no, you look at a player like that and you just think, you always see dedication, even if you know he's not going to stick around come the end of the season. Because I'll be honest, there's probably fans out there that will be hard pressed to really argue with my statement here. The guy can play at a level that deserves Champions League football every season, I think. Yeah, I'm not saying that he'll go on and win it over his career. That's something that he'll do definitely elsewhere. But wherever he goes, no matter how long he's there for, he just plays with such passion. You see it in his celebration. You see it. I mean, he won a throw-in against Liverpool, for Christ's sake, and about cheered 15,000 fans up all in one motion just by winning a throw-in. If he's going to go, it's not going to be in the winter. So I can say that much. But I can see him going in the summer if he's not going to agree a new contract, because he'll want to move on. The past is new, and we'll want to make sure we don't miss out on any form of return of money for it from a business perspective, I guess.
And Vincent had a question for you, Brad. Do you think the donut from the Masked Singer is Gary Lineker? That has got to be question of the night from Vincent.
Yeah, I love it. You know what? Gary Lineker and donut, it goes together, so fair enough. Yeah, it probably is. I mean, I don't watch the show myself, but I know what it's about. I've seen it before, but I'm not seeing anything from the series.
It's what you call like really bad TV, but actually it's quite entertaining. I do actually like the Masked Singer, but that's a great question. Absolutely great.
I'll go with yes. We'll have a yes.
And from Vincent for Doug, who will leave Liverpool? He thinks Mo Salah might be gone by next year.
Well, the contract situation is very, very worrying. I thought he would have had the contract signed and settled by now, but there's still time. I think there is talks in the coming about him signing a new deal. I think more the player I think that's probably likely to move on next season is probably Sadio Mane. One of him and Firmino. Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, and Mohamed Salah are out of contract. I think next summer. So I think one of them will be moved on. I don't know which one will be moved on, but if I had to say a gut feeling, I think Sadio Mane will probably be moved on.
There was rumours in the past he was going to go to Barcelona. Do you think that's where he'll end up?
Who, Mane or Salah?
Mane.
I mean, Barcelona again linked with every Tom, Dick, and Harry right now. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. Don't be surprised if they're linked with Tielemans very, very soon, or Jamie Vardy. Remember Barcelona being linked with Jamie Vardy? Or was that Atletico? I think Atletico Madrid were. Yeah, Atletico were linked with Jamie Vardy. I was like, that ain't happening.
Which isn't bad for a broke teammate we had. For a team that's got partners and got no money, they're still spending cash.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I think Mane's probably. I don't know. I really don't know. I think.
How old is?
I don't know if a Bayern Munich would come in for him or someone like that, but I don't know. I don't know if he would suit the Bundesliga or La Liga. I don't see him going to Barcelona. I think it's probably more Madrid, if I'm being honest.
Hello as well to Out and Out Gooner as well. Thank you for tuning in. You missed me being nice to your club before, by the way. I'm going to say who my disappointing teams are now. And I'm going to start off with the obvious one, and that's going to be my club, Manchester United. I actually do, I hate saying this, but I do believe there was so disappointing so far this season. Say, for example, this is where Man United's expectations were at the end of last season, because we got second into the Europa League and people's like, right, we can expand on this. We finished second, so this is our expectations. We got Sancho, it raises a little bit because we waited for him for 2 years. Then we got Varane, so it raises like this. And now we've got Ronaldo. It's up the roof now, the expectations. We've got Cristiano Ronaldo, Varane and Sancho all in this transfer window. And you think, right, we've got a centre-back which we all wanted for years. We've got our legend Cristiano Ronaldo home. We've got Jadon Sancho, a right-wing player who we wasn't able to get a replacement for since Ronaldo left the first time round. This is it. This is our year, blah, blah, blah. For me, I was always saying, right, I don't think we'll win the league, but we need to get a trophy. We need to narrow the gap between us and Manchester City, because I did always predict them to win. So I was saying, if we was 3 points behind Manchester City end of the season, we won a cup. If that was like the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Champions League, I'd be very happy with that season, because I think, right, this is an improvement from the last season. But then we had 2 good games. We played brilliant against Leeds, and I couldn't knock any player at all. Paul Pogba with 4 assists. You got Bruno Fernandes with his hat-trick. I think even Fred scored that game as well. Even Fred.
Yeah.
And then it does. It really does say it all. Newcastle, we won 4-1. Cristiano Ronaldo has his debut and scores 2 goals. We won 4-1 that game. And then after that Newcastle game, it's just been completely disappointing. There was games what we should have won. Aston Villa, where we lost at home. Everton, where we drew. Lost against Watford, lost against Leicester, Liverpool, Manchester City. You look at that and you think, this is so disappointing, because you expected so much more from Manchester United. And people were all calling for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be sacked. You do look at this squad now, and you think, what was the point in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer getting sacked if we're not even improving? We're getting worse. We've drew against Newcastle, which we didn't do under Ole. We've lost against Wolves, which we didn't do with Ole. So we're clearly getting worse. I have no problems with Rangnick. I really like Rangnick as a player, a manager. Sorry, he's, as you say, he's the godfather of football. You've got managers like Klopp, Tuchel looking up to him as an amazing manager, but these players just don't want to perform. They don't care about the club. I read today 11 players want to leave Manchester United. You want to leave Manchester United, then go. If you're not going to perform for Manchester United, leave the club. We don't want players who don't want to play for our club, who doesn't want to play for the badge. I watched the game against Wolves, and I could only name several players who play for the badge. The only players who I actually thought played for the badge was Phil Jones, who didn't play for over 700 games and 700 days, sorry. And he was actually a standout performer. And when his last game was 2020 in January against Tranmere Rovers, Varane had a good game. De Gea had a good game. Normally Cavani has a good game, but he didn't. He was just, because he was dropping so deep, he was losing the ball. And that is because the number 6s aren't working together. And then the two afterwards weren't working together because Greenwood was playing as a wide player when he's not a wide player. And then we decided to drop Bruno, Donna, all different players who could play in that wide position under who's not Greenwood, because Greenwood's a striker. So I just believe that the standards for Manchester United is below par, and it's very disappointing to see as a Man United supporter when we are seeing all the success what we've had over the years. Another team, I'm going to agree with you both in terms of Leeds. Leeds, for me, there was second half of last season, I actually thought they were so well. You look at them second half of last season, they've done so well defensively as well as the attack, because we all know with Bielsa, he's always a plan A kind of guy. So then knowing that he could do well defensively in that second half, I thought, you know what? They play like this. They could potentially get European football this season. But now they've went backwards. For me, it seemed like they have literally been the newly promoted team. You would have actually thought it was them who got newly promoted into the Championship from the Premier League, from the Championship, instead of Brentford. You would really have thought that, because that's how awful Leeds have been. They've won 2-3 games this season, and apart from that, they've been absolutely awful. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bielsa does walk eventually. The final team who I would say was the disappointment was Newcastle. I know they've always been scraping relegation every single year under Steve Bruce, but they've had the change of owners this season, which is brilliant. It's going to be good for them long term. As a Newcastle fan, you'd be absolutely amazed by it. But what's the point in buying the club midway through the season? You can't buy anyone till January. And then, of course, then you change the manager. What's the point in changing to Eddie Howe? Eddie Howe is still using Steve Bruce's players. He's only gonna get what he can out of him. And if Steve Bruce wasn't getting anything out of him, how is a Championship Eddie Howe gonna get anything out of him with Steve Bruce's players? I just feel like, for me, that you haven't really been a very good team at all. But in terms of them in the transfer window, they need to go big, because if they don't go big, yes, they got Trippier, but they still need to replace the whole defence. They still need to get a replacement striker for Callum Wilson when he's injured. And if they don't get anything like that, then they are going to get relegated and they'll be the richest Championship club. So I don't know whether you guys find that funny, but...
That'd be hilarious, absolutely hilarious if they went down as the richest club. One question I have for you guys, the Manchester United fans, what are you making of this 4-2-2-2 formation? I think that really, I don't know if that works for a side like United. I've always thought like a 4-3-3 would be better for you guys.
For me, I was thinking when we won against Crystal Palace, right, okay, give the team time to use this formation, but the 4-2-2, it's a pressing kind of formation. We have literally got only 2 players who actually do press, which is Fred and Cavani. Apart from them, none of the other players really do press. So when you have got 11 players on the pitch, and then only 2 out of 11 is pressing, it's not going to work, this 4-2-2 formation. And then you've got players who are linked. They're not even pressing players who are linked to Manchester United neither. So this 4-2-2 formation is not going to work. And it doesn't bring the best out of the attacking midfielders. It doesn't bring the best out of the wide players, the wing players neither. So for me, yes, I agree. I even said at the very start of the season, we need to have the 4-3-3 formation. That is my preferred formation. 8 out of 10 times somebody wins the league, the Champions League, a cup, it's the 4-3-3 formation. You never hardly see any other formations. You see the odd occasion of the diamond or the 4-2-3-1, which at this point, I think even the 4-2-3-1 would work because the players are used to that. Give them what they're used to until you do a clear out and get the players who you want to bring in, and then bring this 4-2-2 formation in. But I think whilst we've got these players and they're not pressing at all, they're not caring, we're not going to use the 4-2-2 form. The 4-2-2 formation is not good enough. So I'm going to go on to Rich's last video now for his disappointing team so far this season.
And the last category is team that I'm most disappointed with. Leicester City get a shout because obviously they were aspiring for European football. I know they've had losing Wesley Fofana was mad. That was crucial for them, to be fair. But Brendan Rodgers has always been the type of gaffer to kind of just get on with things. He's had injuries the previous years and stuff. I know a lot of people call him like a bottle job and so on and so forth, but he's done a decent job with Leicester. This year it's just not been going well at all, and I don't know if it's a case where the players are not buying into his project anymore, or obviously there was rumours of him going to take at one stage Man United job and stuff. So something's just not sitting right with Leicester City at the moment, and it's a shame because they're normally a very decent side, and at the moment they're sitting 10th. They've got a couple of games in hand, to be fair, which could take them higher up the table. But just the way that they're playing, it's not the Leicester City that we kind of know and such. So, but I'm actually not giving it to them. They're not getting disappointment from me. That's my little one. In all fairness, well, actually not. In all fairness, disappointment. It has to be Manchester United. I know you're not going to like this, but you look at the money they spent. Look at the players they brought in this summer. Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo. Now, obviously, there's with the Ronaldo one, people might say they didn't actually want him. It's only because, obviously, City were in for him. Then the question is, was City really in for him? Or did Ronaldo's agent or George Mendes, I believe it is, did he kind of orchestrate that whole City story to get a move? You know what I mean? Like, there's mad speculation, but like goal scoring wise, Ronaldo's been superb, but you kind of then wonder how much does he actually offer to the team, and is he now hindering Greenwood? Has Ronaldo's arrival affected Bruno, and so on and so forth? Yeah, obviously with them finishing second last season, you would have thought they would try and kick on. It ain't looking good at all. Partly to do Ollie, and I don't think they're really buying into this Ralph Rangnick system at the moment. The 4-2-2-2, and obviously there was rumours coming out that they were complaining about the time they finished in training and stuff. So. Yeah, with the expectation levels, with the signings they made, I think they know they should be doing better, and I'm going Man United. Biggest disappointment so far. But anyway, guys, that's me. Once again, Maisy, apologies I couldn't be there live with you, but I thought this is the least I can do is at least share my viewpoints on the Premier League so far. And you know what? Up the Palace. We're having a great season. Peace.
So that was all from Rich. He's done his opinions, the standout team, the underdog and the disappointing teams. Brad wasn't happy about the Leicester, but I've heard it all about Manchester United now. But I wanted to raise something before we do discuss the Premier League table, which was from Bath Time, which I actually didn't think about underachievers. Everton as an underachieving team this season. And to be honest, this was one what I hadn't thought of in my head. And when now Bath Time has raised this point, I completely agree, because when you look, I know under Carlo Ancelotti, they wasn't the best teams, but people would argue Everton is the worst team they have. This Everton team is the worst team they have seen in such a long time. Would you agree with that, Doug?
Yeah, 100%. I think, obviously, you know, Rafa coming in as manager sort of started it. I know a lot of Evertonians did not want Rafa as manager, and you know, you don't want a manager to come in and, you know, who said that Everton were a small club back in 2010. But it's just been terrible. Like, you know, Liverpool got more wins at Goodison Park than in the Merseyside derby than Everton do. That just shows how bad their season has been when you know that stat. But I mean, Yeah, they've got some results in there, but their home form is terrible. Away form, they're not much better. I'm surprised Rafa's still there. I don't know how long they'll keep Rafa, but Everton for me, yeah, Everton have been a big disappointment. I'm surprised I didn't actually mention them in my top three, but never crossed my mind when I was going through them. But yeah, Everton have been really bad.
Well, no, they're saying the stats you've mentioned. I bet they're a relevant derby team for you now, aren't they?
It does feel that way. Yeah, it does feel that way. I would obviously say Manchester United, Liverpool is still the one for me. Everton, Liverpool. Yes, they beat us last season, but you look at this Everton side, and I've already seen obviously good friend James Dunlop by saying that he thinks that. He thinks that Hull could beat Everton on Sunday and Saturday in the FA Cup, and to be honest, that wouldn't be too much of a surprise the way that Everton are playing.
Yeah, I completely agree, and we're going to look at this table now. Hello to Mila and Rich, thank you for tuning in. I've done your videos, so thank you so much for the videos. So this is the top half, near enough top half of the table so far. As you can see, Manchester City dominating, Chelsea in second, Liverpool third, Arsenal fourth, and then we've got West Ham, who have got European football so far based on what it is at the moment. Brad, what do you think about this table so far? Would you have predicted this table, as you can see right now from at the start of the season, would you have predicted this?
No, because Spurs are way too high up. Start off with it just looks wrong. It just looks wrong seeing them there. Arsenal are also a bit too high, but I think we kind of saw, like you said earlier, Mays, just how bad they were last season, that we all thought it doesn't matter that they've not got European football, they're still going to struggle. I think they really have benefited from no European football, but I'd be hard-pressed to find a supporter out there, even Arsenal fans, that would have had Arsenal in the top four. The usual three lock themselves in. United, again, yeah, I know the calibre you signed, but there was that big clash between the experience of Ollie and his managerial experience of managing these top-class players. Doesn't seem to also be settling in well with Rangnick, despite the massive transformations he's made at the club in this short period with his approach to it. There's probably a few disappointments, but they're balanced out with your West Hams and your Wolves up there. So, yeah, you kind of lose your way a little bit, but I mean, my team's missing from there, but that's no surprise. The way they're playing this season, I thought I got away with being mentioned as a disappointment, to be fair. But yeah, it's not a bad table. But there is a few teams that you think, what are you doing there? There's a few teams that are missing.
So we're looking here, and Leicester's the new Arsenal by the looks of it anyway. They're in 10th, just like Arsenal are.
Thanks for that.
Mid-table, Doug. You're welcome.
What's that?
Looking at this mid-table, Doug, would you have predicted this mid-table, or are some of these surprising for you?
I mean, the thing is, Southampton are usually in and around where they are. Everton have been a big disappointment, as have obviously Leeds United as well. Aston Villa, I think Aston Villa will be top 10. I think the job Gerrard's done. I think he's been fantastic. So I think Villa will probably make it. I'm happy Palace are up there, because Palace for me are much better than many people make them out to be. And the thing is, for me, Palace are much more attractive side to watch this season with Vieira in charge as well. And they made some astute signings, as you say. Conor Gallagher's been fantastic. Edward is starting to come into his own as well. They've always got a chance for Wilfred Zaha as well. It's going to be very interesting, but I do think that Aston Villa are going to be in the top 10 by the end of the season.
And for everybody who is watching, here's the bottom half of the table. Sorry, Mila. Watford are in 17th place. Looking at this relegation for me, that was actually a relegation what I actually near enough predicted, because the only one what I had different was Watford with Burnley. I'm looking at this now. I actually think this relegation is probably going to stay the exact same till the end of the season, because it does, for me, with Newcastle, I think they're too many points behind now to do something. And knowing how well Watford have been in terms of goal scoring,
you say that.
Newcastle just made a move in the transfer
The
window.
last game of the season, believe it or not, at Turf Moor is Burnley against Newcastle.
Oh, could you imagine?
Could be absolutely crucial to those two staying up.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I do think. Sorry if Emila's watching. I think Watford are going to get dragged into this. I just got a feeling they're going to get dragged into it.
However, Newcastle have. It's just flagged up on my phone. Newcastle have made an official 22.5 million plus Sean Longstaff bid for Everton's Luca Digne. So they are looking up above them to try and take from people they could probably claw up. That's
Sean Longstaff. Do you think Everton fans would want Sean Longstaff?
Sean Longstaff in 22.5
You can tell the expectations are getting lowered anyway, that's for sure.
That sounds even more bizarre than 12 million for Trippier, doesn't it? It just sounds like it sounds like they've just gone through their team and gone, him. We'll give you him as well. It's 22.5 million for a left back, though.
Absolutely crazy. It'd be crazy to think on where Lucas Adine will end up coming in the league, because there's so many. Apparently, there's 5 teams who are wanting him, and one of them being Chelsea. And when you look at it, knowing that Chilwell is out till the rest of the season, that would, if I was of course, in his position, that would attract to me the most, knowing that they've got Alonso as the only left back, and I think, I can replace Alonso. Why not?
Would you take him, Brad? Digne?
Honestly, as weird as it sounds from all our owners, we don't really need that position. Personally, we don't. Luke Thomas has come on leaps and bounds. You know, another academy product, just like Chilwell was another academy product. You know, Castagna is quite versatile. He can play out there. We've obviously got JJ, another one of our injury victims on a long-term basis. Who plays there. So I just don't think he gets into our squad, to be honest with you. You've got Castagna that can play on the right, and Ricardo and Amate is actually technically a starting right back. That's his preferred position to play if he's in the defensive line. So it's not even like we could force him to try him on the right and see if he can be interchangeable. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. If we were sure, I would want him in a heartbeat, but we're generally sorted for that position. You notice how I didn't mention Bertrand in that selection, but that's just because I forgot he was actually on the left side of the player. But yeah, we're fine in that situation. I'm surprised he hasn't been linked with, in the greatest respects. It maybe shows his interest at heart, but I'm surprised he hasn't been linked with higher. If Newcastle have been the first club and he does go there, I think that tells you maybe where his heart lies in the sport of football more than his ambition, maybe. We'll see how this season goes if he's willing to take the gamble. Yeah, definitely. More money.
Definitely.
That's an interesting
I just want to say hello to Gaz. Thank you as well for the lovely comment. And I hope you have a nice sleep. So I'm going to end the stream, and I'm going to put you all on the spot for these last 3 questions. Your play of the season so far, your team of the season so far, and your goal of the season so far. And I'll start with you, Brad.
Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, no prep at all. Oh, God. Goals of the season. Oof. Can I just be spiteful to Doug and say our beautiful teamwork goal for Lukeman? Because that's the last one I remember, to be honest. I see that little football, mate. I can't even call one. Who scored that scream? Was there someone who scored the screamer for Palace in their win against Man City? Is it like Townsend or something like that? Am I thinking the season before?
No, I think you're thinking the season 2018, 2019.
Oh, wow. I'm sure there was one in the game like that, but I just honestly I
I
can't.
feel like Conor Gallagher scored, and I can't remember if
Right,
Edouard scored as well.
Yeah, I think one of their goals was pretty good in that game that I can vaguely sort of remember seeing a good goal against. Team of the season, I know it's boring, but damn, when we all sat here going, Man City ain't got a strike force, they're going to shaft it. You got to give them credit. They've, no matter how they've got that talent there to do it, that's not here or there. To watch them, they're always just like, when they're on form like they're on now, you just know you're going to get a glut of goals. I mean, Christ's sake, 6-3 we had against them in a hell of a match on Boxing Day. And what was the other one you wanted? I got goal of the season. I'm giving that one.
Oh, and can you do manager of the season as well?
Manager of the season. Oh, honestly, the managers I'm struggling with. There's been a lot of ins and outs, hasn't there? I think I'm going to go for my surprise because, like I said, I think a lot of people had them and maybe Southampton in their predicted bottom three. I'm actually going. I've got to give it Vieira. I've got to give it Vieira. I think he's done top job. Very surprising. And again, we talked about other teams throughout this league that have been a bit restricted to kind of stick to what they know and what they're good at. Well, we all thought Palace were that side that soaked it up, maybe nicked a few goals, but weren't overly too brilliant going forward. And he's made them a complete unit of a force this season. So, yeah, Patrick Vieira for my manager of the season. And Lootman, just because it's the last one I remember. It's been that long since football was played.
Same question for you, Doug. Your player of the season, team of the season, manager of the season, and goal.
I think player of the season is probably Mo Salah. I think, without obviously being, biased, I think he's just gone the leaps and bounds this season. He's just, I mean, that goal against Chelsea was just unbelievable. The touch, the eagerness to get it past Mendy was absolutely fantastic. And goal of the season. Again, probably Salah against Man City or Salah against Salah against Man City was just incredible. The way he goes past Cancelo, just goes past him with ease, and then it's just the finish past Ederson. But there's been some very, very good goals in there as well. Manager of the season, I'm giving to David Moyes. I think David Moyes has been absolutely outstanding for West Ham, and I just think that he'll he will be very, very. He'll be a wanted man after this season if West Ham make top four.
And what's your team of the season?
I'd have to say Brentford. It's got to be Brentford for
very
me.
Good choices.
I think the way that they've came up as well has been fantastic, and I don't think anyone expected them to do as well as they have done, and they've been really, really impressive. So for me, it has to be Brentford.
I can see everybody's commenting what their opinions are. I'm going to give my opinions. My player of the season so far, I'm going to have to agree, It is Mo Salah, which is painful to say. Mo Salah has been absolutely brilliant. We all know the kind of player Mo Salah is, but it just seems like he's on another level this season. He's just absolutely incredible. The highest goal scorer, the highest assist in the league. You hardly see, especially from a winger, you look at that and you think, wow, that is truly incredible. And I feel like without Salah's presence, it just feels like the team isn't always with it without Mo Salah. And I think he's that influential player what Liverpool are so lucky to have, because I think he's a magnificent player. My team of the season, I'm going to go for Crystal Palace. The reason for that is Crystal Palace have transformed into such an amazing team. I've been so impressed with how Crystal Palace have been, the attacking, the desire to win. You look at that the West Ham game in particular. They had 3 goals? The 3 goals down half time. Come back through, they scored 2, and that shows they have the determination. They want to continue and they want to fight right to the very end. And that is what I love about a team. You can lose, But if you put the fight in and lose, it doesn't feel as bad as when you don't care and lose. So for me, Crystal Palace, team of the season, manager of the season, gotta go for David Moyes. The reason why for David Moyes, he's come a long way from being at Manchester United. People probably see him as quite a laughing stock of when he got sacked at Manchester United, and this is his second spell at West Ham. And you know what? He's been absolutely incredible. And a lot of people, even this season, doubted David Moyes to think, well, he hasn't got Lingard now, so what makes you think David Moyes is going to do it this season? He doesn't need Jesse Lingard, really, to win, because he's still winning these games. And he's actually addressing things at West Ham. Like last season, defensively, they were scoring as many goals as they were conceding goals. But then David Moyes, he went out in the transfer window and got Zuma. So he is having the eye to say, right, this is what I need to do to improve my team. And that just shows that he wants to win. And the way he's doing so well in the Europa League, you've got to put your hats off to him, because I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And it's a shame with David Moyes to be sacked at Man United, because if he got assigned now instead of back then, I think it would have been a whole different story for me. And I think it could have been good for Manchester United. I'm not obviously discrediting all the other managers we've had since David Moyes, but I think he came a bit too early for us. And for my goal of the season, I had two in mind, and they were both Chelsea players, unfortunately. The Chelsea ones I had was Reece James against Norwich. Absolute thunderbolt. I was like, wow. You know what? He was actually my backup for player of the season as well, Reece James, because I thought he's been brilliant this season. But in terms of that goal in particular, I looked at it and I thought, wow, what a play, like what a goal. Like, and you'll look at that and you think this could be a potential goal, but people will remember for many numbers of years. And the other goal that I had for Chelsea was Kovacic against Liverpool. Maybe.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It was an absolute thunderbolt, that one. Just the way that he hits it. No goalkeeper in the world is saving that. So you don't have to hold your hands up and just say fair play, because an absolute stunning strike.
I was half expecting you, Maisy, just for the banter, just to say either one of Fred's goals or Scott McTominay's, because I know you're.
If you want, I'll mention Fred against Palace.
Yeah, you could have actually had that one, to be fair.
I could have said Fred against Palace. I could have done that, but I didn't. I was being unbiased here, and I was naming, unfortunately, Chelsea players, and I named a Liverpool player. I've named Crystal Palace, and I've named the West Ham manager. That just shows how unbiased I've been today. I want to say, both of you, thank you so much for coming onto the channel. It's been brilliant to make your debut on here, and I've been wanting you on for a while. This was the perfect stream to have you both on. If you both want to shout your socials, that'd be great. Starting with you, Brad.
Yeah, again, thanks for having me on. It's been absolutely great. It's been great to make my debut. Great to come on again as well. Obviously, Doug down there is always great and knowledgeable with his words of wisdoms, and I get to hear your laugh when I'm on, so that's enough to make you cheer the day up as well. I just do Twitter. If you really want to hear me waffle football, then just follow me at Full Time Focus. You'll know who I'm on with, where I'm live. But yeah, just again, thanks for having me on, and everyone in the comments, just make sure you're hitting a like and subscribing to Maisy's channel if you're new. She puts in wicked effort. All this you're seeing is all her own doing, the way she split the screen and everything. So get her to 500 as well, because that's an big target for her. Great work, Maisy, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for that, Brad. Doug, where can we find you?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I know you've wanted me on for absolute ages, and obviously, we've had to agree a date, and I'm glad we managed to, agree to this evening. And I again, apologies I kept you all, because of obviously my stream with Rich, but no, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll obviously be making more appearances, I'm sure, on this channel. But you can find me at the Dugout Football channel. on YouTube. I do loads of things: Premier League, Bundesliga, SPFL. Going to cover the AFCON very, very soon as well. So come and find me there. That is my Twitter handle, is at enrod_1992. Instagram at Douglas.Horn and Facebook at Douglas James Horn. And as Brad says, words of wisdom. Have I turned into Susie Dent from Dictionary Corner on Countdown or something, like words of wisdom? But no, really appreciate you asking me to come on. And yeah, let's get Maisy to 500 subs ASAP.
Oh, thank you so much, Doug. It means a lot. Thank you both so much. Thank you, everyone in the live chat as well. I can see Dan came in late. Better late than never, as they say. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody in the live chat. Thank you for an amazing panel. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I am on the road to 500 subscribers. I'm literally looking forward to it. I've got loads of stuff planned. We've got the quiz, which Doug is actually going to be on next week, so you can check Doug out on the quiz. Is he going to be the top of the leaderboard? We will find out next week. But we've got Luca coming on Sunday to kickstart this quiz. We have also got John Newcastle fan on Friday for a weekly transfer news, Newcastle edition. So we can see all the rumoured links from Newcastle. Thank you as well to Nathan. Thank you for Rish as well from Late Winner Show. Thank you both for tuning in. And Vincent is going to watch The Masked Singer so we can watch Gary Lineker. Gary Lineker, who Brad couldn't remember how high up he was in Leicester's top goal scorers.
All right.
You always have to remind him of that. Also, Maisy, I'll need to get you on my channel soon for the Premier League predictions. I know we were meant to be doing it over Christmas, but unfortunately you weren't very, very well. So yeah, we'll get you on very soon for that as well.
Looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. Everybody, check out the channels. I put it in the description, all the links, the YouTube and the Twitter, so go and check them out. And I've got loads of stuff planned on the channel, so check out my channel this and next week. But until then, I will see you all very, very soon. Goodbye for now.